All right, so this next panel we have, our final panel discussion, explores innovative strategies for designing philanthropic events that captivate and engage stakeholders on a deeper level. Learn from industry leaders on how to weave storytelling, immersive experiences, and strategic engagement into your events to meet fundraising goals and build a community of dedicated supporters. Please welcome our moderator for the past 2 days, the one and only Jason Koop.
Okay, we're almost at the end of the day here. I can't believe this. What a day, what a day. Okay, philanthropy. Let's have a quick look here. I used to kid around. First of all, I'm not a planner. I'm a writer. I tell stories. But I have a team behind me that planned all of this, a fabulous team and my wife. Just a sec. Just so I don't miss anything here. But I used to tell them all the time when things got crazy, we're not saving lives here. But the truth is, some of the events we do save lives. And philanthropy is probably my favorite category of events. It's also one of the categories of events that really lends itself to storytelling. Because if you can bring people into that story, you know, if you can make them feel that, well, then they're going to be invested in it. They're going to spend some money on it. So today we're going to talk about philanthropy and experiential design and storytelling with some rock stars. We've got Hala Bissada. We've got David Clarke, come on up. And we've got Jackie Clarke, no relation. That's not my joke. She told me that joke, so. Okay, welcome. Stories profoundly impact us. They make us care, they immerse us in the moment, and they drive us to act. However, the landscape of storytelling, including what story to tell, how to tell it, and how to visually communicate that story is evolving. So, Hala, how do you approach integrating storytelling into your philanthropic events?
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for having me today. Well, we're all about storytelling, all of us. So I thought I would share a little bit about how we start the process at Hala Inc., and then give you maybe a few examples of how we've actually told our client's story. So for us, it's really, really important to understand who the client is first, which I think we all know that. So we do what's called an audit. We always start an event with an event audit. So we want to understand who they are, what they've done in the past, what their objectives are. Is there a new campaign that they want to feature? Is there a new marketing campaign that they want to feature? We want to be able to understand the messaging because it all gives you inspiration in terms of telling the story. And I think you have to really look at who the client is and look at every guest touch point and make sure that you're integrating that story throughout every step of the event, experience. So, an example. We were honored with doing the Royal Agricultural Winter Fair 100th anniversary. It had to be epic.
Fabulous event.
Fabulous event. We had to figure out how are we going to celebrate 100 years of the Royal. And we had a fabulous committee that we were working with, and we were looking at the Royal as being very traditional, almost in some ways, exclusive. We wanted to kind of open up and take what was great about the Royal in terms of who they were, but add a lot of flair and make it really wow inspiring. There were two parts for this gala. There was the dinner, and then there was something called the showcase that took place in the Coliseum. It was massive. So during the dinner, one of the ways that we told the story was through immersive 3D projection mapping, and we were able to tell that story through these amazing visuals that we created. But the show was the showpiece, and we told their story in different ways. So we integrated a lot of what was the Royal in terms of their, time-tested and true entertainment. Things like the RCMP musical ride, things like the Superdogs. Who has gone to the Royal? Like all these tried and true entertainment. So we elevated it and did something a little different. So we had Blue Rodeo perform, but we did it with wild horses. We had a country singer, and we had her perform with their 18-piece pipes and drums. We had a slam poet tell the story of the Royal in a beautiful way with musical accompaniment. We told the story of the farmers through video and bringing the farmers out with their animals. So we really looked at that show and pieced together this really spectacular show, but always thinking, how do we make it elevated? How do we make it interesting? And, how do we connect people to who they were, who they are, etc. So that's just one example. I don't want to take up too much time. Do you want me to give you some other
That's
examples?
okay. If you have another example, we'll take it. But if you're okay, then we can...
Well, I'm going to tell you another example because Keith is here. So we launched a new gala for Princess Margaret, and it was called One Life. And we launched it a couple of years ago after being postponed like 4 times for the COVID. And it was really a poignant gala because we were celebrating the lives of 8 cancer survivors, and we wanted to do it in a way that was really awe-inspiring, emotional, showed resilience, etc. So what we did was we did an incredible performance where we mixed video and entertainment. We took the song Eye of the Tiger and we rewrote it with different lyrics. And between the performances of the different verses, we showcased these videos that we had done of every cancer survivor, each telling their story of their cancer journey, how Princess Margaret helped them, but it was also a story of hope. How do we all know that cancer is so devastating, but we didn't want it to be sad, like completely sad. We wanted to show that there was triumph, that there was hope. And so it was just a magnificent moment in the evening, and that's what we look for, those key moments where we had these Broadway singers and this opera singer sing different verses of Eye of the Tiger, and in between we showed these videos of these cancer survivors. It was just so striking. It was filmed in black and white, different silhouettes, and as each story was told, the survivor came out. It was very dramatic. And we introduced them, and there was a final tableau and the final verse of Eye of the Tiger. It was just a really spectacular moment. So we're always looking at whatever event what we're doing through the entertainment, through production, through activations. And I know you're going to talk a little bit about sponsorship activations and how to integrate them. But every single thing that you look at, every piece of the event, you want to be able to make it a storytelling moment.
No, that's great. I think I wish I'd have seen that. It sounds like a powerful experience. It would have been great. Keith.
Well, I think, thanks so much, Jason. I think Hala's forgetting to say we started that journey in about November 2019, maybe October, and we actually put it together, Hala put it together, I think by the end it was 2023, or 2022. So we took many breaks and we gave Hala a lot of issues over that time. So it's nice to be up here and kind of say sorry. So I think for us, really, we're in a little bit of a different, same business, but really we're, like all of us, in the inspiration business. We're really trying to sell hope. We're trying to get people to open their wallets, donate to cancer research. For us, lucky, unlucky, we're all touched by cancer. Your neighbor, your spouse, someone down the street. It's unfortunate, but it's here, and there is a tsunami coming of cancer cases. The good news is that there is hope, there is inspiration. The money that is raised from all of our events is going to cancer research, and we're making a lot of inroads. So that's a good thing. For us, for our bike rides, for our walks, our road hockey events, what we're mainly known for is we're really in the inspiration business, and not just on event day. Event day is obviously important, but we're selling all year round. We're trying to drive registrations, trying to drive acquisitions. So I think, again, to Hala's point, telling the story of and it's not me up there telling the story. We're getting cancer patients, people that are real, that people can relate to, that are telling their story. And most of the time it's a good story. Sometimes it's not a great story, but it's a story nonetheless, and it really does pull it to hope and the heartstrings of what's going on in people's lives, in all of our lives. So we're lucky that we have such an amazing cancer center here in Toronto, and that if you have cancer, generally that is where you're going. So we have a large pool for acquisition, but riding your bike 200 kilometers and raising $2,500, for instance, is not easy. So really helping you along the way and giving you that support that you need, whether it's our people that are on the other end of the line that are talking to you and coaching you through it, because it's not easy. So I think for us, it's really selling all year round, which is a little bit different than a traditional event, but driving that acquisition and really telling the story through our marketing. And you might have seen things, in the news, that we're really trying to propel cancer research to the next level. And I think for us, that's kind of the gold star, really what we're trying to do. So it's a little bit easier coming to work in the morning and saying, hey, we're doing this for cancer, we're doing this for cancer research. And it's easy for me to come up here and tell you all the things that we do, or maybe get some tips from some people of the things that we don't do that we should probably do, because we're certainly not the best, but we do like to strive to be the best. So really, I think going back to telling the stories and letting people know that they're not alone, that other people, and really we find our events are a community. Those are a community of people that are getting together, that are touched by cancer and really want to raise money for cancer research. So coming at it from a different angle, lucky, unlucky on the philanthropic side, but definitely hope and inspiration, I would say that's like number one for us.
I'm curious, we've heard a lot about that corporations, fundraising through corporations is a challenge. Those dollars are getting harder to find. Are you seeing that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, again, I use this word a lot, we're lucky that we're able to package, and that seems to be the way forward for us, is we have a number of events and packaging that corporate presence on the activation piece, and not just, okay, you're going to show up to camp at Ride in Hamilton and you're going to do an activation X. It's really, well, we can do that at our walk event, we can do that at our road hockey event, assuming there's a good fit, but we're able to do that. So it's kind of weathered the storm for now, but I see that ever changing.
That's interesting. Something you said, I think, is a good segue into talking to Jackie. I think that, I know, because this event wouldn't happen with all the sponsorships that we got. If the corporate dollars are harder to get, I think that a lot of people would suggest that the sponsorship opportunities have to get better, have to be more effective. So I'm curious, how are you seeing the response in terms of sponsorship? Are companies wanting to be more involved in the sponsor? Are they looking for something different? Like when you talk about activations, and because I'll try to be honest with you, we haven't always done sponsorship very well. I used to say to somebody a while back, I went to him for sponsor, but he said, so what, am I going to get a logo on the website? And I said, no, I wouldn't do it for a logo on the website. Why would you? But in all honesty, you get a lot of that still. Yes. And so I'm wondering, when you're out there talking to your sponsorship people, what's the feedback you're getting?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. So my name is Jackie. I run an agency called The Well Connected, which is focused on sponsorship relations. And to your point, one of the things that sponsors don't want is just a logo on a flyer. So it's really about activation and opportunities to embed programming within what you're doing. And what you guys talked about, the emotional piece, one of the big things that I use is the 5 senses. So taste, touch, see, hear, smell. And every brand falls in line with that, one of those categories or a multitude of those categories. So if I look at drinks, drink brands, for an example, their biggest thing is product to lip. How do we get the product to the lip for that brand? So when you're looking at sponsorships and brand activations, you're going to want to look at where within the 5 senses do they fall, and within that, how does that integrate with your programming? And the conversations I'm having are more on the line of non-traditional. Companies are telling me they don't have budget, and that doesn't mean that they can't play. But what that means is for you is you need to start asking how a brand wants to integrate. How do they work with influencers? How do they work with marketing? What are their current programmings that they're looking to do? And how could you build that into to offer them an ROE? Most of us can't give a return on investment, but we can do a return on engagement. And a lot of that is looking at what your social media production looks like and offering that as collateral for the brands, and starting with low-level relationships in terms of, I might want $25,000, but you know what, let's start if we can do a 5, or start looking at the way you could offset some of your costs with in-kind partnerships to build into bigger partnerships, right? And so, for instance, I use an example of Barbados. So I'm a co-founder of an event series called Carnival Oasis with my business partner, Craig, who's in the building, and we connected with Barbados at a different trade show. And instead of me just saying, hey, we got this really great event during the Toronto Caribbean Carnival, all these influencers come out and give us money, I really sat and asked them, what is it that's coming down the pipeline that you want to promote and push? And it was more about the ask and less of the sell. So I say all that to say, when you're having conversations with brands, really talk about them and what is in it for them, and ask, how can I help you? And then figure out how you can serve. So Barbados let me know that they have this rum and drink festival, and they want to get more Canadians and influencers aware of it. So we're like, why don't you build a rum and drink festival at our event? The build is yours. Craig's famous line is, if you build it, they will come. And so we said, whatever the build is you want to do, we can do that. We're not going to charge an arm and a leg. Let's look at the opportunity. And they built this amazing rum and drink experience with all these bottles of Mount Gay, and then they flew in the celebrity mixologist who was mixing drinks as well as chocolate experiences. But what we did for the brand is we over-captured. And what I say by over-capture is we literally sat and looked at every single brand that was sponsoring, and we kind of created a shot list of tailored and evergreen content. So meaning tailored, meaning it aligned with our ethos of our event and the experiences, so all the culture of our event. And then evergreen, meaning our content creators took the content home and created content that aligned with that brand's purpose. And then we presented an 80, I think is that 83 now, Craig? 83-page report that we gave back, because what we don't realize is that our partners need to justify the cost of why they gave me $20,000 worth of money, why they gave me $10,000 worth of monetary goods. As a former publicist in film and television, I know that we have to provide some type of value. So again, if I can't provide an ROI, I need to provide an ROE. And that's what brands are looking for. They do have the money, but it's being spent a lot less. A lot of brands aren't looking to do 100-person conferences. Right now, they're trying to scale back, and non-traditional partnerships are a thing. So if we look at leveraging relationships, you may want to start small with an in-kind. And then you want to build into that. And last thing I will say is, as event planners, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting asked a lot about sponsorships and how my event planner clients can work that in. We have to work in tandem, walk through the experience with your client and say, okay, you want to do a cocktail hour. So we need cocktails. Maybe we can get Rubicon, who's in the building. If you guys haven't tried their drinks, they're amazing. Shameless plug, they're friends of mine. But how do we get them to do mixed cocktails or mocktails, right? How do we build more of an experience in that regard? You may need food. Can we go to Costco and get a gift card that allows you to purchase the things that you need to offset these monetary costs? You have to walk through the entire experience to map out your sponsorship opportunities. And I could be up here all day talking about what brands need. So if you want some information, come find me. I'm happy to give you all the tea, because I do this day in and day out. I talk to brands on a daily basis, and it's really a how can I help you? Not let me tell you what I'm doing. How can I help? And then let's work together to create a partnership.
The line I loved was, it's about the ask and not the sell. Yes. That was great. Because I think we don't ask enough questions sometimes when we're trying to pitch ourselves. Keith. How big, how important is our events to the fundraising for Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation?
Absolutely huge. I mean, outside of our main 5 signature events, we have about 150 events, anything from your backyard barbecues to your One Life galas that are raising $500,000. So very, very important. The community is the heartbeat of what we do. And I feel that that's why I've been there for, I guess we're coming to 14 years, because I'm so passionate about the community and working with different people, and from families to corporations to family foundations to groups of friends that are going through a diagnosis or have lost someone. So I think very, very important. I've had the opportunity to work with a few people in the room and work on some big and smaller events, but they're ever like the most important thing, I would say. You know, getting a major gift isn't easy, but it's stroking a check and I'll see you later type of thing. I want my name on the building. And that's one thing, but, you know, usually a lot of the grind is in the events and people are working hard, and sometimes it's, you know, to raise 10, 20, 30, $500,000. So it's very important to cancer research. And the beauty at Princess Margaret is people can raise through events, a raise specifically for the doctor or the fund or the area of cancer research that means the most to them. So I think that's just amazing to know, and seeing the work firsthand that's going on, I think is just amazing.
Thank you. Hala, how, you've been producing charitable events for a while. How has the landscape changed?
Well, the audience has gotten really sophisticated and much more knowledgeable, and
their expectations are higher.
They're expecting a lot. And I also think that the fundraising dollars that are out there have, you know, decreased. And so I really feel that people are looking for an opportunity to really connect with the cause, and they want to support something that they feel can really make a difference. They want to see where their money is going. They want to touch it, feel it, learn, be ambassadors for the organization, I feel. It's not, I mean, for some it's still, I'm happy to give my $10 million gift because they've got that kind of money, but with people in limited resources, they want to be able to make it meaningful in terms of giving. So they really want to look for opportunities where they feel they can really make a difference, and they want to actually be involved. A lot of them want to be involved. How can I personally get involved? And, you know, it's a matter of meaningful connection.
That's great. I want to ask you the same question. In the world of sponsorship, how has that changed? I mean, in my head, I think that sponsors are looking for a lot more these days. But like, what would you say has changed in the landscape when you're going after secure sponsors these days?
I would say what has changed is, like we were talking about earlier, a logo on a flyer, a logo on a step and repeat is now common ground. That's something that should just be included in general. Brands, the dollars are going down, but the experience expectation is going up. So you really have to look at really building out experiences, because it's like what we were talking about. People want to touch, they want to hear, they want to see, they want to feel, they want to justify the dollar amount that they're giving you. So a lot of it, like I said, it really comes down to the storytelling of what the brand's trying to do and what you're trying to do, and how we can marry together to create a common ground. And a lot of it is content is king. Everything is social media right now. Everything is, people want reels. And I tell my clients all the time, you have to look at your event as a micro-influencer. So study micro-influencers, people who have under 10,000 followers, but are doing really great branded activations. How are they capturing? What are they doing? You have to put in there now, I need reels. These brands want reels. These brands want social clicks. They want emails. They want signups. They want tangible things that they could walk away with to give back to pour into their business. Because I have clients all the time, like, oh, I want Nike to sponsor me. They have millions of dollars. I'm like, yeah, but Nike has their own ethos, guys. They have their own events that they want to prove. So how do you create a unique value that either brings a different audience or brings a different experience, something that they haven't tapped into but can align with their audience, or give them something that you haven't created before? So a lot of it is really that storytelling piece. It's a lot of that creative activation. It's a lot of sitting down and asking more questions and looking at how we can create a really great opportunity that really leaves people leaving here being like, that was so cool. I've never experienced that before, where they want to post online, because everything now, credibility is what someone shares about you online these days, because it can go either way. Someone kind of say something really great, or they could say something really bad. So if having that brand in your ecosystem, how do you allow your audience to say something really great about that brand?
Are brands nervous at all about social media, about how you're going to use it, how you're going to deploy it, I guess, afterwards?
Oh yeah, so like when we do our events, we put together an extensive communications plan of what that content could potentially look like, as well as one of the things that we do at my agency is post-event wrap reports. I personally believe they are one of the biggest tools you can use to sell sponsorship without even having to do a deck, because it's the results of your effort, and clients can see effectively what that content looks like. Some brands want to pre-approve, so we do some creative content. We let you know kind of what we're looking to do for your brand, and we give them a Dropbox folder along with the link to the report of all the content that they have. But for the most part, brands that are on site, they get to activate and integrate with our influencers, so they get to kind of pre-approve or create that content there with them. But again, a lot of that's questions. Well, what kind of content are you guys interested in? What's a no-go? Again, it's having these conversations to say, okay, a company may not be interested in aligning with a cannabis brand, so don't have us near a cannabis brand. So we do shot lists for every single one of our partners. We got about 13 social media managers on site per event that their job is just creating content, and we look at it, and Craig and I pre-approve a lot of it before it goes out, and as well as with the brands. But again, it says brands want to see tags, and the greatest thing is if your audience can do those tags on your behalf, it just adds to the content. But for us, we work with tailored 4 to 5 reels or whatever we've settled on for our end partnership.
Can I jump in there for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's really important as producers that as you're developing that guest experience, it goes hand in hand with it when I'm talking about a fundraising event, with raising dollars. So we want the guest experience to be on brand and connect people to the organization. At the same time, it's about fundraising. So you also don't want a brand to overpower the event or the organization. They're there to support a particular organization. So I think as you develop these incredible guest experience with all these activations, they become meaningful opportunities for the sponsor and naturally integrate into your overall guest experience. You don't ever want a brand to stand out and look, why is this brand just promoting themselves and stick out like a sore thumb? It needs to integrate into the experience so that it's all connected. And I think when you go to your sponsors and present them with opportunities that are meaningful and actually integrate, they really appreciate it. So that's how you can make them really unique in terms of what you're pitching, in a sense.
I would like to add to that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do is when we work with our clients and our brands, the 2 questions that you have to ask is what is the goals of the organization and what is the goal of the event? It's 2 different goals, and you have to ensure that they align together, because that's how you get those missed opportunities where a brand either overpowers or a brand is underrepresented because we haven't aligned with the goals, and not every brand is the fit for your event. So you have to ensure that there's an alignment there. Just because you want them doesn't mean it's going to be of value to the brand. So every brand we do an ask, give, opportunity, and activation column. Well, I do, because my Virgo, ADHD, OCD brain needs to do the most. But we do that so I can see exactly where the alignment is. And when I'm pitching you, I'm giving you those tailored integrations. It's not, hey, come sponsor us. I think this is going to be great. I'm like, no, here's how we think that you could activate. Here's how we think that you could benefit. Here's where our potential opportunities are. But what does that look like for you? And then between those conversations, we can then determine if there's a greater fit.
And assisting your client. So when you're delivering that guest experience, so once we've had that audit, we've created the guest experience, we've produced our renderings, we're presenting it to the client, we're very clear to say, here's the guest experience, here are all your sponsorship opportunities. Look, this can be sponsored, this is the type of brand that can sponsor this opportunity. So it's all part of the development of that guest experience. And just to one other thing I want to note is your vendors can also become a really big part of that story, because bringing them in early, bringing in our storytellers from a content visual perspective for the Royal to do that 3D projection mapping and tell the story, bringing in our writers for the stuff we did with Princess Margaret, our cinematographers. All those vendors are so creative and incredible. You bring them in at the right time and they can help you deliver this unbelievable collaboration that just blows your client out of the water. And the client's part of that collaboration as well. They always need to be part of that collaboration because you're telling their story.
I think especially as something as personal as philanthropy and charitable events. I'm curious, Keith, we don't have a lot of time left, but where's Princess Margaret? Like, what do you see over the next 2 to 5 years type thing? Where are you going?
To be honest with you, a lot of our events are old, right? Our 4 major events are coming up 20, 25, 15, and 12 years. So I think there's definitely importance of reinventing ourselves. Peer-to-peer fundraising is waning to a certain extent. Really looking at Toronto and the GTA and who makes up that demographic, and really I think for us is looking at unique events that we haven't done before. So teaser, we're releasing something on Thursday called Cricket to Conquer Cancer, and really jumping in on, there's a ton of people playing and watching cricket, and a ton of those people are in Canada, and there's no cricket fundraisers. So that's something that we're releasing in 2 days. So I definitely think trying out unique events, and if it doesn't work, failing fast, that's really something we try to do, that we're able to do. I think we definitely need to be in the digital space. We have Facebook fundraisers. This is our 3rd. They've been okay.
Do you think you guys will ever go back to doing hybrid and digital events at all?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it personally. I like live.
Yeah, I don't.
And I think we can sell, it goes back to our mission when it's live and we can get people in a room and feel something and kind of sell ourselves and sell cancer research. I guess the answer is kind of a bit of everything and really seeing what worked, but it's definitely the landscape, especially post-COVID, has definitely changed.
Yeah, you know what, there was something in there that, I mean, you're producing an event, a cricket event, obviously kind of not, I wouldn't say cultural, but maybe cultural specific. But maybe that's also an opportunity. You know, you don't see a lot of culturally specific philanthropic events, or maybe you do and I just am not exposed to them, but I don't know. Maybe that's another opportunity to do more niche type things.
Maybe. And people give in different ways. It's not always to a cancer hospital. It might be to their local church or mosque, or it might be to a local community group that represents their community. So cancer does not discriminate. Everybody's touched. And I think that's our look on that.
Well, thank you very much. This has been fabulous. Charitable events are absolutely my favorite category for a number of reasons, but you guys have been wonderful. I think we're out of time, but I don't know. I don't know if we're going anywhere. Anybody got any questions? See how good a job we did? There's a question. Gosh darn it. Okay.
We can share my life. I'll be Vanna Black. No worries.
Wow. Okay, I'm a lot louder than I thought. You talked a lot about social media and influencers and all of this, like, very young people, dare I say, new fandangled things. Lots of the philanthropy people that I do stuff with, clients, are older, hospitals, people who have a client base, a donor base, who are maybe 60 plus, who often feel like, you know what, like, social media is really not who our clients are or who our donors are, and we don't have the funding as a foundation to be putting something into a social media person, or they're just kind of older and they don't really feel like that's something that they're comfortable with and it's outside of their zone. How have you, Hala, or anybody else who's worked with this kind of foundation, brought home the importance of like, you know what? You can't say no to that social media angle anymore. Like, it really is super important to how you're going to get those donors. How have you picked those kind of more old-fashioned, if you want to, people to really get on board with something like that?
I actually think that there is a new trend, and I think people are trying to look at being more present. So I actually think there's going to be a lot more of a movement towards putting down your phone and being present for the moment. Yes, the social media is going to be really, really important, but I also think people are realizing that, I just started a new company called Blissful, and it's about wellness and centering and energizing, and it's about being present and about mental wellness and about taking a moment for yourself. I don't know if any of you were here for the sound bath this morning, but I know with our MC, I don't know if I should have him admit this. Should we admit this? We were doing the sound check, and all of a sudden, tears started streaming down his face, and it was the vibration and the sound of Luciana doing the sound bath, and all of a sudden it just made his body react in this unexpected way, and it was about being present. So I don't know if I'm kind of a bit old-fashioned myself about social media. I'm not the keenest on it, but I realize the importance of it. But I actually think live events, are about experiencing it, and I believe we should be telling people, take a moment, put down your phones, be present, be in the moment, enjoy it. So it's not right for everybody, and I don't think for that demographic, it's not, you just can't use it everywhere just because you're supposed to, or you think you're supposed to.
So I will say to that, it's all in the capture. So I work with clients that are within that demographic, and what they're still stuck on is probably emails, newsletter, e-blast on their website. So it goes back to what I was saying before. That social media production, let's take out the idea of just Instagram. But when I talk about social media production, we're talking about the social engagement, right? So what we're saying is that's working on that shot list, capturing key moments of, okay, the speakers are on stage. When our audience is down and we're asking them to be engaged, our content creators, photographers, videographers are capturing those integrated personal moments that we can now use for storytelling in a newsletter, use for storytelling in a video on our website. There's still many modes of marketing. Social media is one avenue and one area, but like I said, you have newsletters, you have banners, you have ads. All of these things can be used to tell and share with your clients. Because like some of the people that I deal with, the people that make the decision are of that older generation. So what do they don't want to see a reel. They don't care about that. But they're going to read a 78-page report because that's what their demographic is known for reading. They want to know all of the ins and outs, but they want to see that visually. So it's a myriad of both. And then it's encouraging that hey guys, if we want to move ahead and we want to get with the times and we want to bring in new eyeballs, we're going to have to get into social media, but we do it in a way that's not overpowering. But again, the value there is the capture of your video, the value is the capture of your content, and how you split that is so many different things. It can be a different post for LinkedIn. What you say on LinkedIn should be different than what you say on Twitter or X or Facebook. Same photo or a version of that photo, but with a different endpoint, because every social platform has its own language, and understanding that is very important as well. So it's not like, oh, get overwhelmed. Speak the language of these platforms, and then your social media becomes easier.
I also think it has to be authentic. I think people are looking for authentication, something that's real and meaningful as opposed to some of the stuff that's out there. I notice you post something that's just promoting yourself, nobody likes it. You give them, something that's, real, something that's helpful, you'll get much more of a reaction.
Value exchange.
I think people are looking for things that are much more meaningful.
You know what? Social media is critical after the event, more so than the day of, quite honestly. I don't really like putting out content immediately because I like to bring that content, like after this, I'm going to take all the content that we've created at this show and I'm going to build out a comprehensive strategy that falls into a bunch of different categories, and then I'm going to program our social media channels like a television channel. with all of this content falling into different categories. Some is creative, some is mass, some is a learning or a lesson, some is out messaging. But to me, that's like, I actually don't think most people are doing social media properly. I think most people post on social media to stroke their egos, which is fine if that's all you want to do. Fine, I have no issues with that. I'm actually not a big fan of social media. I'm a big fan of content. But if you post something and 25 of your friends who are also event planners like it, but they're never going to hire you, well, what's the value of that? I mean, if it's to stroke your ego, that's cool. I got a big ego too. But it's not strategic and it's not comprehensive. And if you're in a foundation and you haven't sat down and built out a 3-month campaign with all the content you made there, and a way that that's going to go out, and how each one of those content connects with a different category in your plan, now you've built something. And now you can tell a story. Like I used to joke, I'm glad that everybody showed up today. This was a successful show for us. We are super excited. Thank you for coming out. But if you hadn't have been here, I'd have still turned this thing into gold online. And you'd have never known it unless you were here. And that's the thing about social media and content. You can manipulate the message to exactly what you want it to do. And which I think got a little off topic, but I think if you come into a conversation with a new client like that and you explain to them what you're going to do with all of that social media and why it's so important, not just social media, but content. Because content isn't always on social media, you know?
But to your point, it's how you use that content, and again, it's all part of the storytelling. It can go into marketing, it can go into videos, it can go for your website. It's very strategic, and it's a form of social media of some kind. And I tell people all the time, the real catch is the post-event promoting. Like the stuff you do before is cute, but the post-event stuff is really where you guys get the value. I do reports 2 weeks out after an event, and then we still monitor socials for 30 days because that's when press comes out. If you got press and garnered publicity, right? There's all these things for it, but your post-event, and like you said, how you use that content is very strategic. If this is the first time you've done this event, how you actually capture what you're doing within this first-time event is what's going to help sell the experience for the next time, because a lot of brands, I could say, oh, we want to do this cool liquor activation. Well, if I don't know what the potential of what it looks like, some people can't just visualize the idea, they need to see it. So that's why the importance of that content capture, because then you could tell a brand, well, this is our stage. And next year we could have a Chairman Mills branded stage with the Chairman red, with the pillows, with backdrops. If you guys do it, if Chairman's in the building, 10% for the idea. But what I'm saying is, this is how you could go to a brand in the future. And for those older clients, this is how you justify how we can leverage partnerships. Hey guys, we have a stage, we have a bar that needs drinks on there. This is what the bar setup looks like. And then a brand could visualize how they show up within that space. So it is very intentional. And again, it's how you manipulate the content is what you do with it.
Fabulous. I think we're going to have to end there, unfortunately, because this has been a wonderful conversation. I started out a little nervous, but we managed to make it to the end of the day. So thank you very much. I know we have a little wind down thing now, right? Something like that? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. This was a lot of fun.